Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Burner Account. You got your boy Big Joe.
You got your boy, the original Don.
And as many of our regular viewers may have noticed immediately, there is an absence of two members of the show. Trill and Jay had her out this week, and we couldn't be happier for them. You know, I mean, must be nice. Just take days off whenever you feel like, but whatever. I'm not crying, you're crying. Anyway, we got a good show in store for you today. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the Dallas Cowboys and something that the Cowboys aren't known for, and that is making news when it comes to low attendance. You know, the Cowboys always have a spectacle, a circus around them. They're always surrounded by fans from all over the United States, internationally. And for whatever reason, this time around, they're in training camp. And as we discussed last week, Oxnard, California. And I don't know if the fans just didn't know or if the fans are just like, who cares at this point? Because attendance for training camp has been atrocious. It is desolate out there. There's not really a lot of people. We're used to seeing the stands at capacity, people standing up along the fence, people trying to get an autograph. If you wanted an autograph from people on the Cowboys team, this would have been the year to go because you're not fighting anybody.
Oh, yeah.
You're not fighting anybody for that front row seat. Like, you're getting the best views of practice. You're getting access to all the players. And it's at a premium, but nobody's out there. Julio, why do you think the Cowboys are looking like they're looking at training camp?
I mean, the obvious thing at this point is you see the circus that is the Dallas Cowboys right now at this point. You know, all the stuff that's been going around the media with contracts not being fulfilled, with certain players holding out because they haven't gotten their contract yet. It's turned into, I think Dalton Schultz said it best. It's starting to turn into a zoo now at this point, you know, to where we're getting tired of the old song and dance as far as we're all in. This is our year.
Nobody's buying that nonsense.
Nobody's buying in on it this year. And it's unfortunate because as everybody that's, watched the show for a while now, everybody knows that I'm a diehard Cowboy fan. Every year I say we're going to go to the Super Bowl. Every year I say we're going to win by 40 almost every game. You know, I say things like that, and then we see what's going on now with quote unquote the highest grossing team in the world, basically, where you take a look at their training camp and there's nobody there. And you have people reporting now saying that, some Cowboy fans are applauding those Cowboy fans for not showing up to training camp just for the simple fact to show ownership that we're tired. We're tired of the song and dance. We're tired of all this constant promises of, oh, we're doing something different. We're going to shake everything up. We're going to make an impact this year. It's going to be a completely different year from last year. And yet, with zero moves in the offseason, with zero traction whatsoever, besides having a good draft, which we have almost every year for the last 5 years now, we don't see any changes. We don't see anything that tells us that motivates us to be like, oh my God, this is it. We're doing it this year. So I think with all the recent just letdown from that team, from our team, I should say, it's just one of those things to where why bother? Why bother to show up? Why bother to be like, yeah, let's go team. Let's get behind this horse when we feel like it's going to be the exact same song and dance that we've seen for the last 4 or 5 years. It's starting to get ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I think the lack of foot traffic and attendance really does speak louder than words. Fans are always threatening, like, you're never going to get Jerry's attention unless you hurt his bottom line, unless you affect his pockets. And being out there, I think it's free to go, but I mean, there's other things I'm sure around there that you do have to pay for, and it to me, it should send a message of the status quo is no longer acceptable. We're not going to just take your word every year when you're like, oh, we care about is winning and the fans and putting a better product out there for the fans. You say it, but you don't show it. So the fans are like, okay, well, we'll take action and we'll show you that your team is not above, not above being made an example of as well. I do think ultimately, if it looks like this again next week or over the weekend, now we really have a problem.
Oh yeah.
But during the middle of the week, I mean, that could be a lot of factors contributing as to why there's so few people. But I do think that Dak's contract, CD's contract, Micah's contract, all the uncertainty with those three guys, it almost adds another layer of frustration because it feels like, well, if we're not going to pay anybody, what the hell are we doing with our money? Why are we always talking about the salary cap, but we're not paying anybody? We're not keeping anybody. Like, what are we doing with the money that we can't afford players? And as much as I hate to say it, you see teams like Philadelphia where their GM is out here. It always feels like they're picking somebody up, right? Like they always have cap space. Rams, same thing. San Francisco, same thing. Like their front office knows how to negotiate, make trades, get value for those positions, and make the team better. And it seems like the Cowboys, unless they draft a player, they don't really know how to negotiate in free agency. They don't know how to negotiate with keeping talent. So it's just kind of like wonky, that whole situation. But
And I think that has a lot to do with also the fact that we don't have an actual GM. I mean, we do have somebody appointed as a GM, but I mean, does the guy do his job? Because it
he's a
doesn't.
businessman. He's not. I don't. He's a businessman. He's a numbers guy, but I don't think he ultimately understands how to evaluate football talent.
Yeah. And I think that's what's hurting us a lot because, in previous years, back in whatever you want to call our glory days, we made those proper moves. We picked up Dion when we could.
Charles
We
Haley.
brought Charles Haley from the 49ers. We made those big time moves to where you were like, all right, this is something to get excited about. This is a piece that we were missing. This is what we actually need to get us over the hump. And it's starting to feel more and more or less now that the Cowboys are more of a business and
Yes.
they're more interested in selling tickets and putting on a good show as opposed to let's bring a win to the city, which we always talk about every single time that we talk about the Cowboys on the show. We always talk about how we love people. The people here of Dallas love winners. And if we're not winning, then what the fuck is the point? What's
Right.
the point? It,
Right.
it it defeats the purpose of us getting hyped about something, wanting to go buy tickets, wanting to spend the extra dollar to let me get a brand new jersey this year. Let me pick up some more Cowboys memorabilia. Whatever it is, we want to get our hands on it because that team is winning. We're winners. And we're a winning city. If you're not winning, then we lose interest. And
Right.
we had brought it up before in a previous podcast where we talked about, how long will it take before, these other teams that are winning in our city, i.e., the Dallas Mavericks, the Stars, the Rangers, how long before they continue their winning streak and the Cowboys start to become irrelevant?
Yep.
When will they become irrelevant? When
Right.
will everybody, the football world, the NFL world, finally get tired of being like, okay, it's the same song and dance. We know what the situation is in Dallas, and until we see some drastic change for the better of this team, who cares? Why
Yeah.
why are we still talking about him? You know what I mean? Type
Yep.
deal.
And the sad thing is the Cowboys continue to prosper because you're gonna have your diehard loyalists, kind of like you, Julio, that are like, I'm a ride or die for this team no matter what. Our teams every year is our year. I mean, you have those people, and then you have the other people that are like strictly tune in to hopefully watch the demise of the Dallas Cowboys on a weekly basis. So love them or hate them, everybody's watching them because everybody either wants to see them win or wants to see them lose. It's kind of like watching a Floyd Mayweather, a Jake Paul, somebody like that.
Exactly.
You may not necessarily be paying your money to watch them win as much as it is you're paying your money to watch those guys lose. And I think the Cowboys, the business of the Dallas Cowboys is at an all-time high. The morale as a Cowboys fan, I think right now we're at about an all-time low. I mean, we're going on damn near 30 years since we've seen a championship game. So at what point do you just kind of burn out? But then I look at it like, look at the Chicago Cubs in baseball, 100 years of, inadequacy, and their fans are still diehards. I can see the Cowboys fans kind of being like that, where it's the expectations maybe are just unrealistic, but they're still there based on.
I mean, you have
the past.
We could bring up 100 teams like that. You have diehard Browns fans that have been Browns fans for years.
Lions fans.
Lions fans.
But look at it like this: like our generation is the last generation of people that got to see championships here in Dallas. Our kids only think of the Cowboys like, the Cowboys suck. They don't ever do anything. And it's frustrating because you're like, dude,
bro, you understand.
Know how good the Cowboys were, but it's not the same no more. It doesn't matter because we're looking at it from 30 years ago, and these guys are looking at it from what have you done for me lately? And
I love the fact that you brought that up because every Sunday during football season, when I'm like, leave me alone, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to watch football all day, and I'm going to get ready to watch the boys play. And they're like, and I hear my kids automatically go to that. Why are you going to watch them play? They suck.
You already know they're going to lose. Much.
You already know they're going to lose. And I'm like, if you don't get the hell out of here right now.
Get out my face.
You don't know what it is, the love that I've built for this since I was a small kid. It's super, super frustrating. But again, the last generation are waiting for that next big, let's go. We're in there again. We're back in it again. And
I would love for my kids to experience the joy of the Cowboys winning a Super Bowl like we did. Even if it's just one. It don't have to be 3.
Yeah, just one.
Just one. So that you understand what it is to experience that.
And truthfully and honestly, I want that for not just for our kids' sake, but for some of the players there, namely Dak. Dak has put in, a lot of work into becoming a better quarterback. Hell, he was a runner-up for the MVP last year.
Yes.
So to me, I think it would do well, not only for the city, not only for the team, but for him as well, to be able to hoist up that Lombardi trophy at the end of 1 year before he's done here in Dallas. Just for the betterment of our city, for the betterment of the team, for him personally, I think it would.
Well, he got 1 year. He got this year to figure it out because he may not be here.
After pretty much. Yeah. And that's another scary thought because you brought it up before too. I mean, what do we resort to after that?
Right. Bro, all the reports are Trey Lance is absolute.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. I've
watched so many camp videos where he's just throwing picks and it's like, ooh, you wasted that 5th round pick or 4th round pick, whatever the hell it was. 4th, I think it was. You wasted it. Like you just pissed away a 4th round pick on some bum that cannot. He's got a rocket for an arm, but he cannot hit an open receiver to save his life.
Bro, I was watching a TikTok of him, well, all 3 quarterbacks actually trying to hit the accuracy basket, trying to make it in there. And bro, they were all over the damn place.
Bro,
even Dak, and I was just like, why?
And
Why?
that's what we're putting all our eggs into that basket. But